Nicole clutched the envelope tightly in her hand. It was time to use it. It was the main point in her sinister plan that she had been trying to put into action all this time. Her discontent was growing by the day. The love that had arisen between her son and that simple girl was not giving her peace. She didn't think of it as love either. It was all a passing infatuation, a foolishness that had led her son astray. But now her mother was ready to make a serious contribution to her son's future, and she would not let him ruin his life. Chris and his fiancée met by a chance in a park, where the guy was walking with his friends. He usually didn't meet girls in such places, but he really liked her. Chris was interested in her from the first moment. She was so beautiful. Her long blonde hair and her blue eyes were so piercing. There was something mysterious about them, inscrutable, and she totally lived up to her name, Eva. Feelings appeared between them, and very soon Chris introduced the girl to his parents. His father was captivated by the girl's beauty and manners, but his mother immediately disliked her. Nicole thought that the girl was not worthy to be part of their family. She was too simple and ordinary. Her father was a farmer. Nicole didn't go into detail about what that meant. To her, farmers were just poor people working in the vegetable garden. She didn't ask anything of Eva and her son, but she decided for herself that she wouldn't let this girl become part of their family. She had only spoken to Chris once. "Look, son, this girl isn't right for you. She's kind of quiet, always in her head. Who knows what's in her head? I have a bad feeling about this. I don't want you to mess up your life." "Mom, don't make this up. I love her, and she's the best girl in the world," the son objected. "You're wrong. She's not all what you think she is," summed up the mother. But no longer would Nicole pester her son with talk. She decided that she would do everything herself to make sure the wedding didn't happen. And she waited for that moment, and right today at the wedding, she would make sure that the girl would never be able to look them in the eye again. She deliberately waited until this day to make the girl as uncomfortable as possible. It was a shame that her poor parents couldn't attend the wedding. Apparently they couldn't wash off the dirt from their vegetable garden, or they were embarrassed to come to the wedding of a daughter who wanted to marry a rich man. Nicole was sure they were looking forward to the privileges they would receive from being related to a wealthy family. But it wasn't going to happen. She wasn't going to let that happen. "Mom, are you ready?" Chris peeked into the room, holding a miniature bridal bouquet in his hands. Nicole smiled and called him over to her. "Yes, son, I'm ready, but you wait. I have something I want to tell you and show you. It's very urgent and important. You have to listen to me." Chris looked around, then went into the room, closing the door behind him. "Hurry up, Mom. Everyone's waiting. We have to hurry. What was so important you wanted to tell me?" Nicole took her son's hand and squeezed it tightly. Then she began to speak hurriedly. "You know how much I love you. You're my whole life. But I'm more worried about your future than Dad. Some girl called me the other day. I don't know how she got my number, and I wouldn't have paid attention to her, but she sounded too convincing. She said your fiancé was cheating on you. Son, I just thought I'd check to see why this girl was talking about your fiancé like that. All I did was have one person follow her around and find out, and this is the result of his observation." She held out to her son the envelope she had in her hand. Chris, frowning, listening intently to his mother, he slowly opened the envelope. There were pictures. He stared at them for about a minute, and then they fell out of his hands and onto the floor. A moment later, the bride's bouquet was on the floor as well. Chris ran swiftly out of the room. Nicole's face contorted into a sinister smile. Yes, she had done her job. She had kicked that girl out of her own wedding. She looked at the bride's bouquet on top of the pictures, which were fake. She stepped on the bouquet with all her might, crushing it with her heel. 6 months passed. Nicole came out of the beauty salon, where she came regularly to maintain a decent appearance. She'd spent about 5 hours there today, but despite her fatigue, her mood was great. The woman decided to have a cup of coffee and then go shopping. She had wanted to visit a high-end jewelry store for a long time where she liked some earrings. She'd been going there regularly for about 3 months now, waiting for her birthday to order a gift. She'd been dreaming of these earrings. They were very expensive, but she would definitely buy them. After the cafe, Nicole went to the jewelry store. As soon as she entered, she noticed a familiar face. Her son's ex-fiancée was standing next to a stand of expensive jewelry. Not only that, she was holding the very earrings that Chris's mother had dreamed of. That mean girl. What is she even doing here? Thought Nicole. And then she saw, next to Eva, a slender older man. He was handsome, athletic, well-groomed, but clearly about 15 years older than the girl. The woman smirked. Of course, this person has found herself a new rich man, failed to charm the young guy, so she decided to try with an old man who liked her pretty face. But that's all right. Now she's going to ruin it for her here, too. Nicole walked swiftly toward Eve, and the man stood between them. "Hello, my dear. I see you're at it again," the woman said with a smirk. Eva turned pale when she saw the woman, who could have been her mother-in-law. There she was again, but when would she leave her alone? Nicole thought the girl was scared of her, and rightly so, for now the woman was going to ruin her reputation once again. "How glad I am that I was able to talk sense into my son in time. I see you like these earrings, but do you have enough money for them? Or are you hoping this man will buy them for you? I doubt it. After he knows the truth about you, I don't think you'll get them." Eva wasn't looking at Nicole. She was looking into the eyes of the man behind her. Nicole saw this and said, "You can look all you want, but this man is about to find out the whole truth about you. I'm going to try very hard. I've never met such a deceitful and calculating girl, so young and so cunning. And your parents are like that. Did they teach you how to cheat rich people from privileged society? I wish I could look them in the eye and tell them what I think of them." "You have a wonderful opportunity to do so now. I can't say I'd enjoy it, but I'll listen to what you have to say." A pleasant male voice came from behind Nicole. The woman turned and looked bewildered at the man who was with Eva. Initially, she didn't understand anything, until the man spoke words that made her ashamed. "I am Eva's father. My name is Antonio, and you may now tell me personally what you wanted." "All right, I will do you the honor, but I warn you, it will only be one time. So say whatever you want right away." Nicole stared at Eva's father in silence. She could not have imagined such a thing. Could it really be her father? How could it be? Her father's a farmer, and this man was rich. He wore an expensive suit, a fancy watch. He's successful, you could tell right away. But immediately Nicole thought of the fact that she had never questioned either Eva or her son about the details of her parents' lives and affairs. She only now realized that she knew nothing about Eva's parents. How could she be so wrong? "You have nothing to say?" the man continued. "Well then, I'll talk, because I certainly have something to tell you. It was only because of my daughter that I didn't deal with you sooner. Eva begged me not to bother you. She felt sorry for Chris, who might have been hurt. I still don't understand why this fool, who trusts his mother unquestioningly, deserved my daughter's love. But luckily it didn't work out that way. To be related to people like that would have been a terrible thing for our family. How fortunate that you spared us such kinship yourself, and that I did not have to be ashamed of my surroundings." Nicole could not utter a single word. And Antonio continued, There are many things I would like to say to you, but I will refrain. I'm just warning you never to go near my daughter again. If you ever see her, I advise you to avoid her. I'm afraid I won't be able to behave as well-mannered as I do now. If you don't understand nicely, I'll have to talk to you differently. I repeat, never come near my daughter or even say her name. Now, I'm going to have to ask you to step back. You're in our way. I want to buy my daughter some earrings that she likes. You shouldn't be here unless you came here to buy them yourself. Antonio looked at the woman questioningly. Astounded, Nicole took a step back, then another. Then she turned and walked briskly toward the exit. When she came out, she turned around. Eva was already wearing earrings, the same earrings, the exclusive, one-of-a-kind model that Chris's mother had only dreamed of. She couldn't be here anymore. She left, tapping her heels loudly. Eva and Antonio walked out of the mall. Do you want me to take you home, or do you need to go somewhere else? Eva's father said. The girl nodded thoughtfully. Yes, Dad. Meeting that woman reminded me that I wanted to see my mother and tell her the latest news. Antonio closed his eyes and sighed. Yes, of course. My driver will take you, only we'll stop at my firm first. You're not going? The daughter asked. No, I was just with her yesterday. You stay with her today. The father smiled affectionately at Eva. An hour later, the driver brought the girl to the site. 5 minutes later, she was standing at the grave of her mother, who had passed away 9 months earlier. Her father had taken his wife's illness and her imminent death hard. Eva didn't tell anyone about what they were going through. Chris knew about these sad events, but Eva asked not to tell anyone about the misfortune in her family, not to listen to unnecessary pity and sympathy. Only after Chris and Eva broke up did her father feel better. He realized that he had to take care of his daughter so that no one would hurt her. The girl sighed, remembering the past, but her face immediately lit up with a smile as she said out loud, Hello, Mommy. I come to you with good news. I'm getting married. Tony proposed to me. You know, Mom, I love him very much. It wasn't like that with Chris, Mommy. And besides, Tony and Daddy get along so well. His parents are wonderful people. They would never hurt me. I know you're the one who keeps me from making terrible mistakes. You are my keeper. I miss you very much, Mommy. And I love you very much. Thank you, my dear. Eva kissed her fingers and then touched the image of a very beautiful woman who was looking at her with a slight smile. The girl sat on the bench for about 10 minutes, and then, after kissing the image of her mother once more, she left. Her soul was at peace, and only joy